It is nighttime when Chase arrives at the hospital. He's heard Drew is awake, but Willow says she hasn't seen him and is avoiding it. She admits she is perplexed and unsure what to do, but she still believes Drew is her greatest hope of reuniting with her children. Chase believes she doesn't need Drew. Lucas and Liz discuss Drew's awakening and the police presence at the hospital. Liz admits she is avoiding the police because she heard Carly threaten to kill Drew the night he was shot. Lucas laughs as Carly threatens to kill several people when she is angry. Liz will not run to the cops to tell them what she knows, but she will speak the truth if questioned. Isaiah enters Portia's office to discuss Drew's being awake. She reveals she wishes she had stayed in bed with him the other night, because she feels horrible about saving Drew's life after what he's done to her family. According to Isaiah, this makes her a brilliant surgeon because she gives everyone her all, no matter who they are. She admits the other reason is because, as much as she enjoyed being with him in his bed, it cannot happen again. Isaiah understands, as it's a hard scenario having her as his boss. Isaiah will respect her decision, but he is interested in exploring where things could go if she changes her mind. Who shot Drew? Curtis, in Drew's room, isn't shocked that he's blaming Michael. Drew acknowledges he doesn't know who shot him. It may have been Curtis. He cautions Drew that he is in a vulnerable position. Someone previously attempted to kill him and may return to do the job. Is Drew paralyzed? Lucas interrupts and offers to answer any queries Drew may have. Curtis leaves them. Lucas informs Drew about the procedure, and there may be long-term consequences from the second bullet stuck against his spine. Drew wonders if he could be incapacitated. Lucas performs several needle tests on Drew's feet, and there is no evidence of paralysis. Drew thanks God, and Lucas advises that he thank Dr. Robinson. Drew grumbles that it's a marvel she didn't kill him. Lucas strikes out at him, and Drew gets the impression that Lucas isn't his biggest admirer either. Lucas claims Carly and Michael are his family, and he is simply responsible to provide him with medical care, not to stand around and chat. Lucas walks out. Liz grabs Willow in the hallways and delivers some bad news. It appears like Rick has left town, and no one knows when he will return. Willow freaks out because she no longer has a lawyer. Elsewhere, Chase approaches Curtis and inquires about his whereabouts at the time Drew was shot. Will Lulu follow Carly's advice? Carly visits Lulu's apartment. Lulu tells Carly that her super spy boyfriend wants her to let Charlotte visit Valentine because he needs something from the Cassadine. Carly asks Charlotte what she wants. Lulu claims Charlotte does not know. Carly adds that seeing he's okay would give Charlotte some peace of mind, which is worth thinking about. Carly warns Lulu that Valentine will be imprisoned for the rest of his life, and she cannot tear Valentine out of Charlotte's heart. She must let Charlotte make this decision, since if her daughter discovers that she prevented her from visiting her father, she will be resentful. What does Jack offer Nina? Jack joins Nina at the Portchairs Grill and discusses the matter with Valentine, Lulu, and Charlotte. Jack knows she is close to Charlotte. Nina stops him and says she will not lead a child onto an aircraft to Switzerland against her mother's wishes. Jack is not intending to kidnap a child. He only wants her to help get Lulu on board with this. Nina argues that Carly would be in a better position to persuade Lulu, and she is unsure whether having Charlotte visit her father is in her best interest. She is protective of the girl and does not want to see her hurt. Anna and Dante question Michael. Michael stops by the PCPD to meet with Anna and Dante. Michael is surprised that Diane sent Marco in her place to help. Marco and Michael converse briefly. The lawyer explains that Diane is representing Alexis, thus she cannot represent him. Michael trusts Diane's judgment, so the probing begins. Marco supports Michael GH, who answers for his whereabouts that night. He was with Christina when his father called with the news of the judge's death. He then spoke with his mother before going to the Port Charles Grill to relax. While there, he spoke with Jacinda Bracken. Anna asks if he is aware that she is the escort who was pictured with Drew. He didn't then, but he does now. Michael goes on to describe when he arrived and left the grill, at which point he realizes he has left his phone in his car the entire time. He went home after missing calls from Wiley and Brooklyn, and his son was having a nightmare. Anna asks if he stopped somewhere else on his way home, and Michael recalls doing so. We see a memory of him getting into his car, soaked from the storm. He claims he stopped nowhere, and Jacinda can account for their time at the grill. Dante observes that Drew only listed Michael as a possible shooter, not anybody else. Michael is not surprised. Anna gives Michael permission to leave for the time being. At the internet cafe, Kai informs Trina that Drew is awake. Trina is concerned that Drew may have been aware of their presence when he was shot. Kai claims he can find out by seeing Drew, who has no idea who he truly is. Drew can protect them as long as he believes he is still on their side. Kai takes off and Emma discovers Trina absolutely stunned. She greets her and proceeds to place an order. She returns with some tea for Trina, noting that she appears to be in need of it, as well as several friends. She sits down and is eager to listen to her. Trina spills everything. Her mother falsifying Heather's lab results, being blackmailed by Drew, and lying to her father. She believes it all started because of her. Emma claims that none of this is her fault, and it is not her responsibility to solve her parents' problems and make them happy. She advises her pal to focus on making herself happy. Trina praises her for her advice. What does Drew want Kai to do? Kai visits the hospital to see Drew and acts as if nothing has happened between them. Drew is pleased to see him since he needs a big favor. He asks Kai to open his safe and bring him some of the stuff within. Kai replies he can't because his home is a crime scene. Drew proposes that he use his key to sneak in and no one will notice, but Kai is uncomfortable. Drew understands and is willing to help him further. Curtis tells Chase in the hallways that he can't assist him. He will appear at the station if summoned to answer questions, accompanied by his lawyer. Meanwhile, Willow knows she needs to hire a new lawyer. Liz encourages that she try Martin, but in the meanwhile, she should focus on demonstrating that she is a decent and stable mother. Willow fears it won't be enough and she'll need Drew, no matter how much she despises him. Kai then interrupts them saying, Drew has asked to see Willow. Portia expresses gratitude to Isaiah in her office for his presence when she needed it. And while she would like to see where things could lead, she cannot do so with her daughter. In the show's final moments, Isaiah assures Portia that he will respect her decision, and hopes they may become friends. She says they can and they shake it. He leaves, but not before expressing his hope that she will alter her opinion about them eventually. Chase tells Curtis in the hallways that as a former officer, he understands that when individuals lawyer up, it implies they are hiding something. Curtis has nothing to say without his lawyer and walks away. Chase then calls the station to find out when Curtis left with Stella. He left at 8:30 so he had plenty of time to shoot Drew. Chase determines it's time to speak to Stella Henry. In Anna's office, Dante concedes that if you can hire an escort for the firm, you can pay one to provide an alibi. Anna agrees and they cannot rule out Michael. They also need to bring Jacinda in. Michael and Marco go to the Port Charles Grill, and Michael knows the cops will want to interview Jacinda. He'll contact her and speak with her, then dismiss Marco. At the hospital, Lucas assures Liz that Carly did not shoot Drew. Liz isn't because Carly believes Drew is a threat to her family. At home, Lulu appreciates Carly's honesty, but she is Charlotte's mother, and what is best for her is to leave the past behind. Nobody can persuade her that a meeting with Valentine will be beneficial. Back at the grill, Jack informs Nina that Drew has been shot, and that it is only a matter of time before she and Willow are questioned. Jack can help her form a mutually beneficial friendship. If she assists him with Charlotte, the WSB will assist her and Willow when the time comes. He cautions that it's coming shortly. He doesn't require a response right now, but tells her to think about it. When Jack exits, Nina looks up and sees Michael across the bar. Willow finally enters Drew's room where he is asleep. He stirs and glances up to see her face. Willow Tate agreed to Drew Kane framing Michael Corinthos on Thursday, September 11th, while Liesl Albrecht fainted at Britt Westbourne's homecoming. Curtis Ashford arrived at Anna Devane's office and introduced Martin Gray as legal counsel, answering questions regarding the night Drew was shot. Curtis admitted that he wasn't on good terms with Drew, but he insisted that he was innocent. However, Curtis remained under suspicion since he lacked a good alibi at the time of the incident. In Portia Robinson's office, Trina Robinson discussed the blackmail with her mother, and wondered if Drew was the only one with proof against her. Portia questioned why Trina needed to know this, and suggested that her daughter remain out of the controversy. Trina hoped that because Portia had spared Drew's life, everything would improve. Portia recognized Drew did not appear to appreciate her efforts, but she was tired of living in fear of his wrath. Later, Curtis met with Portia and requested her assistance because he was a suspect. Until an arrest was made, Curtis wanted to maintain the impression of a strong marriage while avoiding disclosing Drew's difficulties with them as a couple. Britt awoke on the journey return from Croatia, having fallen asleep on Jason Morgan's shoulder. Jason still had inquiries, but Britt refused to say much, including who she worked for. Britt also wanted nothing to do with Jason once they landed since she still felt he prioritized Carly Spencer and her entourage. Britt did, however, mention that she had things to do once they arrived and convinced Jason to pay over the cab money. Liesl was happy to meet Rocco Falconeri at the cafe, together with Charlotte Cassadine and Outback. Outback bolted out the door, and Rocco and Charlotte after her. When Rocco returned, he had a severe gash on his head from crashing into a tree. Rocco asked Liesl to bandage him up so he could help Charlotte seek for Outback, but Albrecht insisted on stitches at the hospital. Nina Reeves said at Lulu Spencer's residence that Jack Brennan had instructed her to convince Lulu to support Charlotte's visit to Valentine Cassadine. Nina believed that Lulu should take charge of the matter because Brennan may approach Charlotte directly and incite animosity. Instead of playing the villain in the story, Lulu had the opportunity to assist the visit and gain Charlotte's approval. Nina also revealed that every time she spoke with Charlotte, she mentioned how much she missed Valentine. That revelation stunned Lulu because Charlotte hadn't really opened up to her about it. When Rocco called to say he required stitches, he admitted to running into Liesl. Lulu thought she needed a buffer if Albrecht was going to be at GH, so she invited Nina to join her. Lucas Jones questioned Carly at the hospital, and she revealed that she had threatened Drew's life and meant it, despite the fact that she was not the one who shot him. Willow asked what Drew recalled in his room. Drew couldn't remember who shot him and was astonished to find Tracy Quartermaine rescued him. Drew believed that the real reason he made it through was because he needed to be there for Willow and the kids. Drew contended that if Michael Corinthos had not already been arrested, he would be shortly. There was a lot of fighting until Carly stormed out. When Drew was alone with Willow, he stated that Michael apologizing for this was healthy for them, regardless of guilt. Willow intimated that someone else might be chasing Drew, but it was a risk he was ready to accept. Willow worried if Drew would frame Michael, noting that he had already told the detectives he couldn't remember. Drew smugly remarked that unpleasant memories could resurface at any time, and he clearly intended to pretend to remember Michael's guilt. Willow was pleased with the proposal because she would do anything to get her children back. Meanwhile, Dante Falconeri arrived at Jacinda Bracken's hotel suite, where Michael came shirtless from the bathroom, buttoning his pants as if they had slept together. Dante was doubtful because Michael had just been to the police station and said Jacinda was his alibi. Jacinda confirmed Michael's account and exited the room, but Dante was concerned Michael was paying her to be his alibi and didn't like the look of it. Jacinda and Michael met again after Dante was brought to the hospital due to Rocco's accident. It was determined that having an alibi was in the best interests of both Jacinda and Michael. Therefore they assisted one another. Because Carly assumed Anna would discover out she had threatened Drew's life, she went to her office and revealed it. Carly denied shooting Drew and cited Brennan as her alibi, but Anna knew Brennan was good at lying and could fabricate evidence. Carly was defending Brennan when Jason came in the doorway, catching both her and Anna's attention. Meanwhile, Liesl, Rocco, Dante, Lulu, and Nina were all in the hospital. Rocco left to get his sutures, but the others, including Elizabeth Baldwin, were still standing there when Britt entered. Lulu struggled to accept the sight of Britt because everyone assumed she was dead. "I'm back, Lulu," Britt said with a smirk. Liesl passed out in Nina's arms, so Britt looked concerned. According to General Hospital spoilers, Britt is about to face more criticism, so we'll keep you updated on all of the rising drama. The precinct buzzed with a restless energy, the kind that settles over a police station when a high-profile case comes across the desk. Officers rushed quickly, their shoes booming against the linoleum floors, while phones rang non-stop, each one a potential lead or a dead end. In the heart of Port Charles, the PCPD was dealing with a shooting that had shook the neighborhood to its core. Drew Kane, a charismatic man with convoluted ties to the town's elite, had been shot in broad daylight, and the inquiry was taking a surprising turn. Michael Corinthos, heir to the Corinthos legacy and a figure both revered and questioned, had emerged as one of the leading suspects. Michael sat in the questioning room, his stance tight and his jaw set in a way that conveyed both defiance and uneasiness. The fluorescent lights above created harsh shadows on his face, emphasizing the strain in his eyes. He wasn't used to being scrutinized. His family's history made that clear, but being questioned in connection with a shooting was a whole other thing. Detective Harper, the seasoned investigator across from him, leaned forward, his voice quiet but with an edge that suggested he wasn't here to play games. "Michael," Harper said, scanning through a notepad full of handwritten notes, "you were observed near the pier about the time Drew was shot. Could you describe what you were doing there?" Michael's fingers twitched slightly, but he quickly ignored the sensation by clasping his hands together. "I was meeting a business associate," he explained calmly, his tone polished. "We had a contract to discuss." Harper lifted an eyebrow, skeptical. "A business associate? At the pier? When exactly did someone shoot Drew Kane? That's an incredible coincidence, don't you think?" Michael's gaze did not waver. "Coincidences occur, Detective. I did not shoot Drew. I had no cause to." But the detective refused to let it go. The circumstantial evidence was building up. Witnesses had placed Michael near the site, and a shaky security camera feed showed a guy with his build leaving the area just minutes after the gunfire. Then there was the question of motivation. Drew and Michael had a convoluted history, one marked by family ties, betrayals, and competing interests in Port Charles's political hierarchy. Drew's recent attempts to consolidate power in the town's economic operations have put him at conflict with various stakeholders, including Michael. The investigator leaned back, looking for any cracks in Michael's demeanor. "You and Drew weren't exactly on good terms," Harper replied, his tone measured. "The truth is he was making steps that harmed your family's business. That is the motive, Michael. And you have the means, plenty of access to weaponry, given your connections." Michael's brows narrowed, but his voice remained calm. "You are reaching. I operate a legal business. I don't go around shooting people in the street." "Legitimate," Harper murmured, a small grin tugging at his lips. "That's what they all say." Across town, in a darkly lit office with a slight scent of cigar smoke and worn leather, Jack Brennan was making his own move. Jack, a man with a charisma that was both beguiling and calculating, sat across from Nina Reeves, his posture easy yet attentive. Nina, seated on the edge of a plush chair, watched him nervously. She'd known Jack long enough to recognize that look in his eyes, which indicated he was ready to dangle something hazardous in front of her. "I have a proposition," Jack replied, his voice silky as silk and his smile slightly too sharp. He leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees, his eyes fixed on hers. Nina crossed her arms, her shields up. "Something that could benefit us both." "I'm listening," she said, her tone indicating that she wasn't sure she wanted to hear it. Jack's smile grew but did not reach his eyes. "You have influence, Nina. Connections. Information. And I have resources. Together we can make things happen in this town." Nina's eyebrows arched. "You'll have to be more explicit, Jack. I'm not in the mood for vague promises." He grinned, unconcerned by her severity. "Fair enough. Let's just say I know about your little side projects. The ones you don't publicize. I'm not here to judge, in fact I applaud the hustle. But I can give you something better. One advantage is that it provides protection, and a relationship that might boost your standing in Port Charles beyond anything you could have dreamed." Nina's attitude was cautious, yet there was a hint of curiosity in her gaze. Jack was adept at reading people, so he knew he had her attention. He leaned back and let the silence do its job. Nina wasn't the sort to rush, but she wasn't without ambition. He could see the wheels spinning in her thoughts, assessing the risks and rewards. "What is in it for you?" she inquired last, her voice low. Jack's smile became ambiguous. "Let's just say I prefer to keep my friends close and my foes guessing." "You'd be a great friend, Nina." Back at the PCPD, Michael was under new pressure. Detective Harper had laid up a series of images on the table, including stills from security footage, a map of the pier with indicated locations, and a ballistics report indicating that the weapon used was of a common caliber, which Michael could easily examine. The detectives' questioning were relentless. Each one aimed to chip away at Michael's carefully crafted facade. "You have a temper, don't you?" Harper stated, tapping one of the photographs. "They've seen it. Drew pressed your buttons too many times, didn't he? Michael clenched his jaw, but he did not take the bait. I am not that guy anymore, detective. You're fishing and you know it. Harper shrugged unconcerned. Maybe, but the evidence does not lie. And right now it's pointing at you. Michael wasn't sure how he'd landed up in this situation. He hadn't gone to the dock to shoot Drew. He was there to find someone who could back up his story. But exposing that would open up a whole new bucket of worms, one he was not prepared to deal with. Not yet. His mind raced, planning his next action. He needed to leave this room, away from Harper's probing questioning, and discover out who was setting him up. 'Cause somebody was.